Hey guys, it's Wids. The goal of this build is to farm endgame bosses and higher nightmare dungeons. The gameplay in the background is me and my friend during one of the Duriel fights. He was level 100 and I am 89. Duriel is a level 100 boss. As a rogue class, survivability is often the main concern, therefore you have to focus on staying alive in order to be able to dish out the most amount of damage possible. Simply put, you can't kill anything if you keep dying. Since Season 2 started, I've been building towards a Twisting Blades poison build because it's the most popular. However, after trying many variants, staying alive was a big problem for me. After trying some other things, I started playing around with a unique that many people overlook, and you might notice many people love to crap on it in Reddit conversation. If I had listened to those comments, I would have never realized how much of a difference this one single unit can make in my build. With this unique, I was able to solve the staying alive issue, and today I'm here to share this build with you, and hopefully you give it a try. Now, before we go any further, I'd like to say I take all my inspirations for this build from Maxwell.gg. They have a very good foundation for Death Trap Rogue build. In any case, the unique in question is Temerity, and I've been using these pants since around level 79 when they dropped from a chest in the Helltide event. These pants have allowed me to tank all the endgame bosses, to include killing Duriel 7 times already. I'm no longer running away from the fight, I just keep tanking and spanking all these bosses. That said, if your goal is to farm Duriel, let's start by showing you the skill tree. I will link everything on d4build.gg, so check in the description for more details about the build. Alright, for our basic, we're gonna go with puncture and then fundamental puncture, and then we go down to twisting blades, even though this is not a twisting blades build, but twisting blades is one of the best damage dealing you have for the rogue. And then we're gonna take improved twisting blades. You're gonna go 3 on sturdy and go down to shadow step, discipline, and we take 3 for weapon mastery. And we have rapid gambits 3, and I put 1 in trick attacks. We continue on with poison trap, and then we take countering poison trap. We have maxed out exploit and malice, and we take poison imbuement. We max out debilitating toxin, deadly venom, 2 points in there. You don't have to put 2 in here, but I put 2 in here. I like it that way. And I put 1 in alchemical advantage. Down here we have 1 in innovation, and then we put 3 in second wind. And we have our ultimate death trap, prime, and then supreme death trap. And then we go down for 1 in aftermath. Now you don't have to take this one if you don't have to. You can put it somewhere else if you so choose. And then we have 1 in adrenaline rush, and then we max out haste. And then for our passive, we take exposure. Now, one thing I forgot to mention here, normally you would take siphoning strikes just for the survivability, but because of the vampiric power, which we'll talk about, so we're not taking this one. But in other situation, you most likely will take this one. Now onto our gear, you can look at the stats real quick, and then most importantly, you want to make sure that your resistance are up to par. So trying to get 70 in all of them or close to it. That way you don't have to worry too much about those bosses because they all have their own resistances that you have to fight against. Like I said, everything is detailed in d4build.gg, so just check it out, that way you can see everything, so I don't have to spend too much time in here. So for the helmet, we take the might aspect, and then try to make sure that you have ranks in poison imbuement. That's the most important here, and also some cooldown reduction. And then for the chest piece, we are using the disobedience aspect. And this is very important to stay alive, and also trying to get total armor. That way you can try to get your armor as close as possible for those physical damages that you might be taking anywhere in the game. Again, this piece is not perfect, but this is what I got for now. For the gloves, we are using the shared misery aspect. This is also a very good one for the rogue class. And just make sure you have some rank to twisting blades as far as the stats are concerned. And then those stats that you see here in those affixes, they don't have to be the same one, but those are very good for what we're trying to do. This is the MVP of the build. This is what's going to keep you alive. This will keep you alive and allow you to tank so much damage. It is insane. Now, temerity in conjunction with the undying vampiric power is what keeps you alive. This says casting skill heals you for 3% life if you have it max, and then you get double this bonus while below 50% life. This is the key to make you tanky as hell. So make sure you use this. And if you don't use this, you can also use the siphoning strikes, which I showed you in the skill tree. So if you don't want to use this, then you can just take siphoning strikes. So with temerity, as long as you're using your skills, you are getting a bubble, because with the bubble, that's what keeps you alive. Now, once you start fighting Dario and start getting some more uniques or uber uniques, whatever, you can change up the build. But like you say, I can use Tybalt's Will if I want to, but I don't want to use it now because you have to work to it. Now, the build that I'm showing you is what's going to allow you to actually farm Dario, and then you can obtain those uniques and then start using them for your build for bigger and better things. Now, for the boots, when I am going to Nightmare Dungeon, I use this aspect, the Audacity aspect. This makes things a lot easier, killing enemy a lot faster. You stun the enemy, you put them in death trap, and you also use your ultimate, and then it sucked everybody in, and then you're clearing room as fast as possible. So that's what I use when I'm going to Nightmare Dungeon. But when I'm fighting bosses, and I use this right here, these boots with the Ravager's aspects, as you can see, have an additional shatter step, and that makes things a lot easier for a boss fight, because it makes more sense to have this rather than the Audacity aspects. The Audacity aspect is for ads clearing, whereas the Ravager aspect is for bar scaling. Now, for our amulet, we are using the corruption aspect. This is very good, but you can switch things up with something else that you might like, but I've been using those since forever and they are doing the job. And for this ring, I am using the pestilent points. This is a very good one, but you can switch this one for something else if you want to. For the second ring, I am using the ravenous aspect, but you can also use the umbro aspect, but I'm using this one right now because it works out fine. And we leave our weapon for last, and then for the two-handed weapon, I am using this aspect right here. It is the conceited aspect. Now, the reason we use this instead of the Edge Masters aspect is because of the barrier that I have 99.9% of the time. So I always have a barrier up, so it makes sense to use this, but you can use the Edge Master aspect if you want to. And for the daggers, I'm putting the Date Blenser aspects on one of them, and I'm also using Condemnation. If you don't have Condemnation, you don't have to use Condemnation. You can use a regular dagger with the Rapid aspect. And now for our specialization, we're using combo points, of course, because this is the best out of the three for that kind of build. And then now let's go to the Vampiric power. Now for the Vampiric power, I'm using the Undying, like I already mentioned. And then we're also using the Prey on the Weak. And you don't have to say much about this thing because vulnerability on the enemy is all the time. And then I'm using Metamorphosis. This makes you unstoppable, and you get this all the time, and you can just go through crowd control enemies all the time, and when they CC you, you can get out of jail free with this thing. Now, if you don't want to use this, you can use the Ghost Walker aspect, and that's also allow you to be unstoppable. But this is a lot better, especially for this season, so you might as well use this. And then I am also using the Cursed Touch. This does a lot of damage whenever you release those souls. The souls seek out enemies and then just do tons of damage on them. So that's the reason why I use this. It is very good. And then also for the last one, I'm using Ravenous. And this allows you to be faster on your attack. So use this if you want, but you can also try something different if you don't want when it comes to the vampiric powers. But those 5 that I'm using are very good, and they've been very, very enjoyable to work with. Now for the Paragon board, guys, I'm simply using the ones from Maxwell.gg because they have a pretty good setup and it is working very good since I started using it. So it will be in the build detail on d4build.gg, so I don't want to spend too much time on there, but you know, you can just, this is just a quick look at it, but to see it in more detail, just check out the link in the description and you can see everything from where I am at right now. So guys, if you decide to use this build, I'm sure you are going to be fine and you're going to enjoy it, and you're going to kill Duriel so many times, and you're going to probably have all those uber uniques that exist in the game, even though you are not level 100 yet. Anyway, thanks for watching. I will see you guys in the next one.